A production of the Maine Public Broadcasting Network.
I love to go a-wandering along the mountain track, and as I go I love to sing my knapsack on my back. Marie,
After the hunt comes the pleasure. That has to be the dinner table. Well, ultimately, your game gets onto the table for the family. In these days of high prices, all of the things that go with making a living, and the lifestyle that is Maine and earning a living, wild game is definitely a part of each family's household in the state of Maine. Well, we thought we'd show you just a bit about the necessities of properly taking care of your deer. Paul Shoemaker is my guest, and we're at Brewer, Maine. He's a meat cutter, an expert in the business, and for 20 years he's been preparing venison for the table. Here we have an animal that field dressed approximately 130 pounds, a beautiful carcass, and as you can see, it's fat and in excellent shape. You see this deer, and this is one of the 29,000 or more that ultimately will be reaching the tables of residents in Maine and those people who are fortunate enough to claim a deer outside the state. Paul, you've been doing this for a long time. The thing that we want to emphasize is the need for conservation, conserving meat for the table. What are the most common errors that the ordinary man does with no experience when it comes to meat cutting?
Well, Bud, I think one of the most important things is to learn the different cuts of meat. You have to take an animal like this and compare it to a beef critter. However, it's a lot smaller in comparison to a scale, but this is the loin section out of the animal. And I'm going to break this apart now, and I'll show you in effect that this piece of meat right here is the same as a porterhouse steak. A lot of people come in and they say they do not want the chops out of this animal.
That's not me, believe me. I love those chops.
Well, they don't realize that they're doing away with some porterhouse steak.
How much waste is there in the ordinary carcass of venison?
Oh, depending on how you have it cut. If you cut it, I believe in cutting it mostly with the bone in so that you get the benefit of all the meat. If you bone it out, you always lose a certain amount in boning. If you cut this with the bone in it, you'll find, probably 20% shrinkage, I would say, at most, unless you have a real fat animal.
Well, let's see you cut it up just exactly as you would, as if it were mine.
Okay. How about as if it were mine?
Right, all yours. All right, now we have those lovely chops sitting back there.
That's the loin section.
Right.
These here, if you were to compare this to a side of beef, this would be your T-bone steaks down through here. Once you run into the tenderloin, then they become, this is the club steaks down through here. This section in through here would be your T-bones, and in beef, this would be the porterhouse steak. This is the tenderloin area here, and this is the sirloin area.
When it comes to quality, how do you rate the loin section versus the steak portion?
This is top grade, as far as I'm concerned. This is like eating, up on this end, this is like eating a prime rib of beef.
Are there people who pass over the tenderloin portion in preference for a roast?
Many people will come in and they'll bring their carcass of beef to me to cut it up, and this tenderloin is already missing. Now, what they're doing, when they come in, they'll ask me to finish boning this out, and in doing so, you lose a lot of the meat. It's left on the bones, and it winds up becoming hamburger rather than a piece of steak.
Okay, are you going to chop this out and make chops of this?
Yes, I'll saw this right up on the side.
All right, let's
show you
see
what they
you
look
do it.
like.
Can you imagine this with a side of onions, somewhere with boiled potatoes back in camp. Now that's just one side.
That is 15 beautiful chops. At the
You must have counted fast. I guess you did it that.
I have a habit of counting as I slice.
Do you really?
I have to package these up for the consumer, and they like so many per package. And so I know.
How many knives do you go through in the course of a season?
You wouldn't believe it. A knife like this, which is a good grade, this is a real good knife. That knife will last me probably 3 years.
It will really?
Yes, really, seriously. Yeah.
All right, now that you have the chops, what do you do for finishing them off?
Okay, there's not a thing to be done unless you have a real fat animal. On occasion, you'll have one that's got 1.5 inches of fat around it. We just kind of trim it off, package it up, and if you can compare this to a porterhouse steak, there you are.
Paul, we hear people say that venison tastes gamey or wild. In the matter of cooking venison, this is something that many people don't understand. They overcook venison. How do you like venison prepared? Say a chop like this.
I personally, on a personal favor here, I enjoy all my meat a little bit on the rare side. If you cook any steak, whether it be venison, pork, or, well, pork should be rather well done, but beef or anything else, if it's extremely well done, what you've done in cooking it, overcooking it, is take the moisture out of the meat. Meat, after all, is 98% moisture. So the more we cook it, the more we dry it out.
Okay,
and it
how do you
chewy.
prepare this flank right here? Now, I hear people say that that's throwaway meat.
A lot of people think that. You can take this flank and cut a pocket down in through here. Now, a lot of people, in pork, this would be your spare ribs, okay?
Right.
A lot of people use this and put them on the grill and use them as a spare rib. But you can cut a pocket into this piece of meat, per se, fill that with a nice bread stuffing, and bake that in the oven. You have a lovely meal. Really.
Is this popular with people?
Not very.
Not very.
No, I think it's just because the public isn't aware of what you can do with it, really.
You have an alternate choice, really, if you want to trim it off for Hamburg, right?
You can put it in the Hamburg. This can be cut right up through the middle here, and you can make like lamb riblets, okay? So I'll do one to show you.
Right.
I'll do this one quickly. Okay, if you do a bunch of those and lay those out, those become like a lamb riblet.
Oh, I see.
You can braise them, and they're very, very tasty.
When it comes to making mincemeat, now what portion of the meat do you say?
Generally speaking, the neck, Bud.
The neck. You work strictly with the neck.
You can use, I'll show you other cuts on this. This is the forward quarters here.
Right.
I'll split this in the middle. Normally, this neck was shot up somewhat, so it's kind of short. It should normally be out about this length.
Which raises a point, incidentally. Is good meat cuts around the short area, right? So that there's very little loss of meat, actually.
Yes. Your worst loss on meat is an animal that's been hit with a car. They really do an awful job on them. This bloodshot that you see here,
Right.
will, when they're hit with a vehicle, it'll just push it all through the body.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize. If you could see one scun out sometime, you'd realize how much. Now this animal was hit right in through here, and you can see that there's bloodshot all the way up through here.
Okay, now how will you work this over to save what good meat is there?
We will split this up the middle, and let's go from there.
What a marvelous display of chops.
Those are beautiful. They really are nice chops.
Wouldn't that taste good in the back of the cottage tonight?
Yes, it would. It certainly would.
How do you rate the quality of venison as for an eating meat?
I guess you'd have to say it depends on the feed area. It's
Okay. You did a moose the other day that had been shot in Newfoundland.
Mm-hmm.
How do you rate the quality of moose versus venison?
I find moose meat very, very delicious. It has a little different flavor than our Maine deer. the area that they've been fed in is the largest,
Right.
I don't know how I want to say.
Well, it's a big area
It's-
that moose will
it's a
feed
big-
on lichen, and it's a good feeding animal, and clean like deer. Let me see you take that neck out of there so we can understand what you're doing to save
Okay,
this.
fine. I'll split this in half.
Okay.
That's 2 4/4. This can be used in several different ways. I usually cut up a 4/4 as I would if I were doing a lamb. I usually do this on the saw, and this neck is usually longer. But this is the area.
Okay, and this is lost, right?
Yes. Well, no, it's not really long.
I mean, you trim off the short area, the blood area.
Right, okay. A lot of people would like to have their venison aged for a week or so. I'm not a great firm believer in that
You don't believe in
myself.
hanging them in the bark?
No, because what happens, Bud, is this. This blood is staying in there. The temperature is going up and down on the beef, and this blood is just going to spread. After about 48 hours, it'll sour. And then that smell starts going right into the rest of the meat.
Well, in other words, from the standpoint of the meat cutter, prepared for the table immediately after being field dressed in the field and returning home with the animal. To get it ready for the table, get it dressed out and put away.
I would get it done as soon as possible.
You would?
Yes, yes, I do.
From Paul
Very well.
Shoemakers, we leave from the preparation of venison, and we go afield and we find out how people enjoy woodcock and grouse. We will join the Cones of Williamsburg, Virginia. Joan Cone is a famous authoress when it comes to food. Her husband, John, is also an author when it comes to the preparation of game foods for the table. They are the friends and guests of Mr. and Mrs. Wilmot Robinson. We join Robbie and his wife, and we think you'll like what you'll see. Come along and we'll go outside, enjoy woodcock and grouse.
Stand here and cook.
Well,
Well, at least I have you to light
you know,
the fire,
oh,
Wiggy.
boy, those things get hot, don't they?
Right.
Can I help
Yeah.
you with anything?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'll let
How
both
about-
first, because I'm famished.
How about if we
I've got a few
do
nice grass breasts for lunch.
and some woodcock
Pluck them
breast?
off.
Okay.
Yes, woodcock breasts.
I have them all. Yeah, right over
Grouse
here.
breasts.
How are these?
Joan, can I help you with something?
Oh, yeah.
What
And
do you
how?
doing with this thing? Is it
What
lit?
do
I think it's lighted out.
No,
but
I
you know,
love to
this
cook these.
propane,
Yeah,
you
let's
can't
have
see
some
the
of those
flame.
nice
Well,
that's
woodcock
I
breast.
can feel it's hot anyway.
hot, all right.
Flies when you
That's
get
a hot
out.
day.
I'll help you around.
And let's put the skillets on so they'll get hot, okay?
Good idea.
Here are those nice woodcock.
Is it all right if I handle the skillets?
Here.
Oh, thank you.
There you are. There's one.
That'll be for the smaller one. I'll use that for the grouse, and the larger one here for the woodcock,
Okay,
okay?
we're going to need to put some butter in them immediately.
Right.
Stand around here feeling
Yeah.
hungry.
And I have a knife and a little
I'm
knife
hungry,
for
Art.
some of this butter.
That's hard work.
Butter gives
Having
the
those
birds
woodcock
such a
covers.
good taste, you know? And
walk all day behind a dog. Hi, doggy.
Oh, those look delicious.
you fry
and
them
they're
in
gonna
butter,
taste
Joan?
delicious, too.
I don't fry them. I
Oh, this what do we call this?
saute.
Saute.
Well, now, the
Saute.
reason I don't like the word fry is I'm from the South, you know.
Oh, that's true.
Virginia,
is
right. And
south.
every time you see anything fried, it's, you know, it's just completely deep fried.
I
And
see.
you don't want to do that
You
to
melt
your
a half a
lovely...
ton of lard and you let it
No,
around
you
a
don't want to
while.
do that to your lovely Maine birds. You see, these birds have no fat in them. They have 1/3 more protein and no fat, so that you just don't want to put, you know, a lot of that fatty material back in.
Oh, we're gonna.
Oh yeah, I'll need some
saute.
flour. Yeah, I'm
Joan,
gonna,
I'm a
Set
cook.
this
I
right
can
here
melt
for you?
butter.
yeah, fine. I'll get
How
some
about
salt and
that?
pepper and.
We're a
In fact,
couple
I
of
can
cooks.
burn butter, I
We're a
think.
couple of cooks, Art.
I think we're going to burn the butter here. Is that
I'll
all
try
right?
to cut that back.
Well, listen, if I do the cooking, at least you two guys can do is sort of regulate what's going on.
Get all your utensils there you need.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave this
Where's
as
the
Wiggy.
bottle?
And that comes later, Art.
How
Now-
can you cook a grouse with a little sherry in it?
Well, that comes later. Just be patient. First, all I'm going to do to these birds, Joyce, is just dust them in some flour with a little salt and pepper, okay? You don't want to overcook. That's the one thing you have to be careful of, because when you overcook these beautiful birds, what happens is, this thing doesn't shake too well, I
Let
think.
me see, I don't think it's open.
Now, that could be.
There you are.
Thank you. They'll dry out and just get tougher and tougher and tougher.
Lots of pepper, Joan. I like
I
pepper.
don't like a lot of pepper, because I might sneeze.
We'll close
I'll
these up
hold
in
your
case they
nose.
fall over.
If you want more pepper, you can put on later.
Now
okay?
what do? You're gonna pour all that flour in the pan?
Oh boy, I tell you. No, I'm gonna. If it's getting too brown, just
We'll move this so it won't
take
get
a minute and
upset.
just hold up.
Okay.
What I'm gonna do
That's about the right.
is just dust them lightly, like so, and just like so. This just gives them a nice little. Aren't they gorgeous? Oh, I love woodcock. Just adore them.
I think a man wouldn't
Now-
use the tongs.
You know, if I were home doing these and I was having you all for dinner, I would start out this way and then probably put them in a casserole in the oven, and then I
When
wouldn't.
do you put the wine?
Oh, that comes later.
Oh.
Honest to goodness.
Wiggy, you're a man after
I think he's
my
on a
own
wine kick.
Yeah, I
No,
think
we
so.
needed to have,
Some cooking wine. Well, we'll get
if
to
we don't
that.
ask questions, we won't learn how to do this.
Right.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Right. You notice I'm putting the breasts down first because they brown nicely
Oh, lovely.
on your
Lovely.
breast first.
Did anyone? Well, I'll tell you, there's one good thing, because I think we got pretty near our limit this morning, and now we're eating the evidence before the warden comes.
Right. No, we're all. At any rate, if I were home doing these, Joyce, and having you all for a meal, I hope you will come down
That's
to
a good
Williamsburg.
dog, Wiggy.
Instead of
fine
standing
job.
here,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
you know, doing this, I could just brown them and put them in a casserole
Good
and
girl.
put some liquid over them and cover them. The one thing you don't ever want to do is to put these birds, whether they're grouse or woodcock or quail or pheasant, in an open oven and roast them, because they just get
Oh, I can see
absolutely.
why. They'd probably be very dry.
Oh
Right?
yeah, you ruin them. You absolutely ruin
Well, it's
them.
nice to learn after all these years that I've been sauteing these birds.
Yeah,
All the
right,
time I thought I was
right.
Oh,
frying
you were
them.
frying them.
Well, I just said that to be sort of funny. I mean, you know, if you live where I live,
In West
You get
Virginia, where
tired.
Joan comes from, when you're fried, it means something else.
Oh,
you'd really get.
that looks very good. though.
Okay, now Joyce.
How
Put
about the
more
other
pepper
pan
on
there?
them
You
now,
wanna do-
Joan?
Yeah,
you
let me
wanna do
have
the
some.
legs?
Yeah, let's get the
Or-
grouse. Oh, I love
Hey,
grouse.
now we're talking.
Oh, this is the finest eating bird
We
in
may get
America,
something to eat here.
in my opinion.
Oh,
You know, you've
yeah.
got to come
Got enough
visit
flour
us.
there,
We'll
Joan? You
carry
need a
you,
little more
honey.
flour
I
at
think
it.
I have enough right now.
Okay.
Aren't they
Go for it.
gorgeous?
Oh, don't those look
Weekend.
delicious?
It's so marvelous.
This
Grouse.
is the king of the birds.
This is the
right here.
king of the birds. I mean, it's not dry like pheasant or duck. It's
Looking
tender.
great, looking great.
Smells good.
They're the best. There's
I don't
nothing
know
like.
what's wrong
And I
with
tell you,
that
sharp
dog.
tails are
If I
good
were a
too.
dog, I'd be
Now,
out there making a
I've
racket.
cooked sharp tail,
Going to.
and even though it's a different color, it's dark. It's just as tender and just as good. I couldn't believe it the first time I
That's
was
why they
had
invented
them.
hush puppies, you know.
I,
Wiggy.
I expected to
They
see
were hush
something
puppies
white, and all of a
out,
sudden I
little
saw
balls of
dark meat, and I
cornmeal
thought,
that
my
you
goodness, is this
fry.
a grouse?
And
And,
when the dog gets hungry,
so,
you feed it to the dog.
I cooked those
Oh.
out in the Dakotas.
I don't know whether it's good for dogs to have all that
Oh,
cornmeal
she
on
wants
it.
some of
Good
these.
girl.
She pointed them so nicely.
How long is this going to take, Joan?
All right,
Tell
these
you,
will
she's
only
still
take,
wagging her
oh,
tail. She's
maybe
got more pep
8 to
left
10
than I
minutes
do.
for those. Your
I
grouse,
might be able to wait.
your grouse breasts
Yeah,
will
long
take
10 minutes.
a little longer, you
They
notice.
look good, John.
They're thicker.
Look good.
Now I think we could get rid of
It
some of
tastes
this.
so much better outdoors.
Oh, isn't it nice to have a helper?
I have to do dishes too.
Now, do you want a fork to help you?
Well,
You
you
got
know-
a spatula.
you know why I don't
you
have
want
a
this,
fork?
dear?
You know why I don't have a fork?
No.
Because if I poked all these beautiful birds with forks, it would let the juices out.
Is that right?
Right, and game has a tendency to be dry. So you don't want to, you know, poke a lot of holes in them and get that juice out. So that's why I
They've
prefer...
already had enough holes in them by
Right.
being shot.
Well, if you're really a good shot,
Well,
you'd be sure.
Joan just shoots him in the head,
Right,
you know.
right.
Wiggy.
I
mean,
never-
This morning.
I never
That's all
touch
she
the
ever
breast of
does.
the bird.
She
I make it a point to
She
shoot
wouldn't
right
aim
for
at
the
the
head.
bird's breast even when it's flying.
No.
Oh, what?
Of course, sometimes I'm a
Sound
little
like a
behind the
I've got to
bird.
shoot him anywhere I can hit him, but
Some-
I mean, you know,
Sometimes I'm a little
that's because I
behind.
have to keep up with her.
Now look how nice those are browning.
Getting warm here.
Delicious.
I'm
You have
losing
enough
my
fire under
pants
that
because
one?
I'm dying
Want a
of
little more
hunger
heat
here.
here?
Yeah, I think under those grouse you could have a little more heat. Now, as I said, this is all you have to do to small birds,
Looks good already.
whether they're,
Looks good enough to eat.
because we have a lot of quail, you know, where I live. We can do the same
brown
things
up.
with quail.
They look delicious.
Or prairie chicken or out If you're out
Right.
west, the sharp-tailed grouse.
I've never eaten dove. They tell me that's
Sharp-tailed
Look,
grouse
just
sound
like these,
rough
only
grouse,
smaller,
they're
same
dog.
color. Different flavor, though.
Now, how often do you get out woodcock hunting in
woodcock is
Virginia?
Well, we
Our
don't go.
season's open now.
Yeah, we actually don't go for woodcock alone because there aren't enough of them. But we find woodcock as for quail hunting. We never know, of course, when the dog's on point what it is. But we.
My very best afternoon, I couldn't shoot any. I think I was out for quail. I got 13 points on woodcock, but the woodcock season had closed.
Yeah, it's,
Instead of watching
unfortunately,
fly
our
away.
woodcock season is open too early in
You want a
Virginia.
little more butter in there,
No,
Joan?
I don't want to
Yeah,
put
that's where
too
you
much
live in
because I
Then
don't.
they'll become...
Well, no, I just don't
I
want to
mean,
add
we gotta
fat.
cook everything fast to the pan so that the pot walloper has a job to do and earns his or her keep.
Now,
right?
what I'll do
Now, you're
occasionally
mean.
is I will
Mean
make a
cook.
little slit in one of these in a couple of minutes and see, if it's
All
done.
I can do is just look at it.
Right. Look how
Looks
nice
good.
those
those
grouse
look
breast
nice.
brown. Aren't those nice? But this is one of the few birds you can do this to. Now, you couldn't do this duck or pheasant and eat it right from the skillet without steaming it a bit. You just
Right,
couldn't do
right.
it. They're just
With
not
duck or
tender enough.
pheasant,
No,
really?
not like, oh no. You'd have to cover them, put some liquid, and
Oh.
let them steam.
Oh,
Because-
speaking of liquid,
Yeah, well, we'll get to that.
oh.
But you see, the point
No,
is,
this piece is still raw in the
you
middle.
guys, if you listen, then you could cook, you see. But the point is,
We don't want to listen, we just want to eat it.
most game birds are too tough to cook like this.
I see.
But this bird, this grouse,
Yeah.
is an exception, okay?
Yeah.
It's like a chicken. You see,
It's very fine meat.
you just can't cook game
Tough in
meat,
texture.
game birds like domestic chicken.
I see.
I mean, our
When you
birds...
look at those woodcock, they look just like liver at this point. And I guess
All
they-
right.
Don't
Oh,
Now,
really
fellas,
don't.
They don't
let me
taste
just...
like it
No.
a lot.
Let me just check.
They taste
I
good.
really
Let me
don't
get a
think-
fork back here.
I like-
So we
I
can
like
get a fork
woodcock.
somewhere.
I could sneak
Yeah,
a little
I'm
pepper
gonna-
on there.
I like
I'm
most
just
anything,
gonna
they
be-
won't eat me first, I'll tell you.
Oh, don't do that.
She caught me.
Now I'm just gonna, look into this, see if I have, if it looks done. Now, you see, that's not quite done.
Not
No,
quite,
I'm gonna
right.
turn them back over on the breast side, because see, that's the thick side. Joyce, I think these are, yeah, they're done. Yeah, they're done. They're
What are
done.
we waiting for, Wiggy?
Now, I tell you, Joyce, how about getting me a couple of platters? And Wiggy, I got a job for you. Would you turn the propane off?
Turn the
please?
propane
Yeah,
off.
right.
Turn the
Just put them
propane
down
off.
there and I'll... And you know what? After I get these on here, would you put some of that great cranberry sauce you make? Oh, how I wish I could go out in the bog and pick fresh cranberries like you do up here in Maine.
Oh, we have some beautiful
Oh, boy, are they expensive at home. These are gorgeous, and they'll look so, cranberries are always good with game, whether it's birds or venison or, it's just perfect. I love them. I'm always
Looking so good, Joan.
serving.
Good.
I can hardly wait.
So can I.
Okay.
Right, and the cook eats first.
Oh, really?
Right, right, always. I have
That's
to
not
taste
the way
it.
it's done in the lumber
Lamb.
camps.
Now, wait a minute, we haven't, you fellas,
Well, of
we're
course,
talking about the
Joan's got
wine.
me
Oh, yeah, I'm waiting for that.
Right.
over a barrel here, but
Well,
I
I'll
think
show you what I'm going to do.
I'm
Don't
gonna
put
eat
Papa.
too.
Does she eat second?
No, well, I don't know.
Oh, these are for the
I've been-
dog, right?
No,
I've been sort of
This
trained
little
to
piece
be
of-
a
Don't get
good
any
boy.
sauce?
breast here. These aren't quite done yet. Now, look, this is what I'm going to
You
do.
had me turn the gas off.
Let me get my wine up
Oh,
here,
that's so
fellas,
good.
because I know you're just having an absolute spasm
Spasm.
about this. Now, you can use any
Not
kind of...
really.
Are we going to have zucchini bread with this?
Yes.
Now, this is the
One
best
minute.
part. Just add some
Right with you.
nice cooking sherry or Madeira or a nice white wine. Not too dry. You don't want it too dry
Smells
because
Don't light a match.
it's too sour, okay?
Smells like apple
Smells like sherry.
cider.
And then just
Smells like good.
swish it around. Now, see, Art, if you cook this with the birds, you'd cook all of the flavor out of it. Not to speak of the alcohol.
Well, I don't want the
Oh,
alcohol.
I see what we're up to here.
Except maybe it would help me stand up when I'm so tired.
Of course, I don't want to get into those cranberries if I can help it, but you
Get
do.
right around here. I want you to...
Well, it's
Does
all in
anyone
the
have a
same
knife?
stomach, you know, Joan.
Does anyone
I want
have a
you to
knife
be
that I
ready
can
to help
This
us.
is just the drippings with a little
Oh,
wine.
yeah, Joan has a better knife. Pardon me,
that's
dear.
That
Oh,
nice
thank
big
you.
K-bar.
That'll
Mm.
do it.
Well, you wanna...
Why use a little sissy
Why don't you
knife
cut
when
this
you can
down
use a
there?
nice knife?
Oh,
Right.
gee, Joyce. You think...
All right.
Now, there's plenty more juice in you fellas. You can
Joyce,
just...
you made that?
Oh,
You're
does
a
that look
good
good? Oh, boy, are we going to feast today? Oh, man. Now, look, there's plenty of this nice gravy here. And by the way, Joyce, you usually serve a clear gravy with birds. You don't thicken it, okay? And you can, just...
What's happening with the grouse?
Well, they're just about, because they're thicker, honey.
They look
You
good.
know.
A little longer for those.
They took a little
Patience
longer.
patience.
She's right. You just have to be patient in this world. They're done.
They look
Hey!
good. Now,
Yay!
do you do the same thing?
Yeah, right. But I have, yes, same thing. We're going to add some wine to that. Oh, yes. Yes. Did you turn it
After
off?
you take the birds out.
Well, in this case, they're just a few. Just put in there.
Right.
That's fine. Oh, boy.
I see that's
That's going to be good. I can get another plate for
Smells
those.
delicious.
Right.
Absolutely delicious.
I'll get another plastic plate for those.
Joan, I have to return your knife to you, dirty for now. I'll do dishes
Well,
later.
okay.
You
Ooh.
didn't bring the dishwasher out?
No, I'm
Gee.
sorry. I couldn't get it in the bus.
How about
Everything
you're
else is
taking
there.
those up? You're doing
Yes,
such a nice
ma'am.
job. Don't touch that. I'll pour this
I
on.
thought you said the cooks eat first. Why don't you
I'm
eat
glad to
first?
see my
I'm a
honey knife
cookie.
is coming in
I'm
handy.
the cookie, so I eat second.
Boy, Joan, those look great.
Well,
Now you're going to put some of that.
Oh, yeah. How's that?
That's terrific.
Oh,
all
boy.
right.
This is
We
for
have
me.
I'm
some-
getting hungrier and
Who can I
hungrier.
share this with?
Well, we're all going to have a piece of grouse, okay?
Okay.
And then there's...
I want to say that
Here, Johnny.
we should never throw the
There
legs
you go.
away.
No,
We can
never.
cook those
Oh, yeah, and
later.
I've got more legs, from these
Right.
Woodcock legs,
woodcock
too.
breasts.
I
And
think
the
whole
legs
thing
are
is-
white and the breasts are dark. And
Right.
that, people just,
I know.
Well, thank you.
they can't understand
amazed
it.
at that.
Real
Thank you.
silver.
We need a knife too,
They're
probably, to
always
Oh,
Yes,
no.
I understand.
Well,
Not
we're-
so
up a
bad.
little bit.
You think so? I thought we were going to eat right in our
Let me
finger.
set this
Well,
down on the
whatever.
ground and we can have this for a
Fine,
table.
here, let me do
Your
it.
cranberries
Now,
are.
somebody hold this for
Oh,
me.
thank
Kind of
you.
hard to pick up with your
You
fingers.
trust me?
Yeah, well, keep an eye on
Well,
them,
Oh,
Joyce.
your
I need
cranberries.
those
You
hands.
sit
You
those down.
let me do these with it, because
Okay.
I have the mitt and you don't.
And then I can take the
There's
stove.
more gravy in here, let's don't forget.
Cool. Might slide that in.
Okay. Oh, boy, are we going to have a feast here. This is the fun of, everything we
Yeah.
See,
shoot,
I've been yelling about
we
eating and I haven't
hunt,
gotten
we should
anything
always
yet.
eat.
Right.
And this is, to me, this is the joy of hunting.
How come
No.
I didn't get a plate?
Get me
I
one,
thought you
too.
had one.
This is the
You know
joy
what
of
these
hunting.
people from
Here,
the
want
south,
this one?
Is to
No, thank
eat
you.
all of the
Thank you,
gorgeous
dear.
birds and animals that we
This one's
have in
tough.
this
I got
country.
one. I
This
want
has been a
Susan.
fascinating
What are you gonna
program.
Dig in?
We've enjoyed our
yeah.
visit with Paul Shoemaker. You know, the need for conserving venison is of utmost importance, particularly if you're picking up the food bill of your home. And then, too, we went afield with the Cones and with the Robinsons. We got a taste of living in the uplands when people grouse and woodcock hunt. There's nothing quite like a meal in the woods. So in the days ahead, it'll be necessary for you to conserve in a lot of ways. Not only energy, but when it comes to food. So, if you take wild game in the weeks ahead, whether it be venison, grouse, or woodcock, even the wonderful rabbit, and you know the rabbit provides a lot of good hunting and a lot of good food for the table of Maine people. Until we meet again, I'm Bud Leavitt, and have a good day.
Bud Leavitt is author of the book entitled 12 Months in Maine. If you have enjoyed tonight's Woods and Waters program and would like to send your comments to us, please write to Woods and Waters, MPBN, Box 86, Orono, Maine, 04473.